let me show ya. Nigeria, Bioko Island, Liberia, I wanna know ya. Cameroon, Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, gotta let me show ya. Nigeria, Bioko Island, Liberia, I wanna know ya. Let it all hang out. DNA brings the car people out. The artistic, so gifted. African ancestry gets it. Yes, they black owned for the people. In the roots, they will find your sequel. Genetic test in the process, peaceful. Reunite, multiply with your equals. Black scientists, research it. Invest in that time, you're worth it. Experience feels so perfect. Get on the right path to your purpose. No other in the industry like this. Find your link to a tribe, precise kit. The Mende people, Mendenga, Volanta, the house. I wanna know.
Hey everybody, what's up? Hey, how y'all doing tonight? I'm Gina Page. I am the president and co-founder of AfricanAncestry.com, and we are the pioneers of genetic ancestry tracing for Black people all around this entire globe. We use DNA to help reconnect Black people to Africa, and our goal is to help transform the way we view ourselves as Black people and the way we view the continent of Africa and its many countries and cultures and traditions and values and practices and beliefs. And I come to you almost every Wednesday. We come to you every Wednesday to talk about a variety of things related to us as members of the diaspora. What's up, everybody? Juanita was early. I am Vote. Haven't seen you in a long time. Good to see you. Welcome. Hey, Plachette, Zenobia. What's up? What's up? Lori Lex is here, and Clarissa is back. Della is back. Drea is back. Daniel is back. Daniel, did you email us your address? Don't forget to send an email with your mailing address to info@AfricanAncestry.com so you can get your identity box. Who else is here? Sharice! Shout out to Sharice Kimbrough, author of Beyond the Broken. I think we talked to Sharice. I don't know if we've ever talked to you, Sharice. I can't remember, but you guys need to go to Mahogany Books and buy, or go to beyondthebroken.com and get a copy of that book. It's dope. Yakota Strong coming with us to Sierra Leone. Hey, Mary, watching from Chicago. Hope you're well. Montreal is here. Robert, Menelik. Menelik, did you get your prize? I saw your name on the list too. I'm not sure if we sent that to you, if we have your address. Lisa and Adrian, we got Ohio in the house. It does make a great, okay, Daniel, you did. I'm going to have them look for your email. I was wondering why they didn't send it to me. Hattie Mahone, welcome. Your name seems new. Welcome, glad to have you. So you all know how we do every week here on African Ancestry Live. We give away a little swag to the first people to come on. Not to the early folks, but you know what? We have special. I have four shirts to give away today. So I'm gonna start at the top and go down. And if you claim the size, I don't have a wide variety of sizes, but the first shirt I have is the blue Find Your Tribe shirt. We don't even sell these anymore. So these are like collector's items maybe. So Juanita Nesbitt, if you can use a small, medium, or extra large, put it in the comments real quick so we know that that's your shirt. Juanita, small, medium, extra large, going once, going twice. Juanita, Juanita, Juanita. Wendy, you tell me what Juanita says. In the meantime, I have stuff to talk to you about. You all know we have the Why You Matter campaign is still going on. We're on a mission. We're walking this journey to get 2022 Black men to trace their ancestry by Father's Day 2022. We want the brothers to take the lead as the leaders in our community, as the leaders in our households, to find out where they're from so that their entire family will then know where they're from. So you can go on over to AfricanAncestry.com/Y for more information about the campaign. Let's see. You guys are putting the things. The first, okay, so we got Juanita, I am Vote. small, medium, or extra large? I am both. I probably didn't go about this the right way, but this is how I'm doing it. So here you go. Here you go. Juanita and I am both. It's on you guys. And I'll just keep going in between talking and chopping it up. You know, this month we are focused on financial literacy and gratitude. So our next guest is going to share a lot of that with us. Lewis Mills is in the house. Okay, Juanita got the extra large. I am vote. Can you small or medium? Let us know if you can. You got extra. So we only have one extra large. Juanita got it first. All right, who's the next person that could take? Wendy, I'll let you handle this. Who's the next person who can take? So put in the chat if you could take a small or a medium. We'll go down the list and let you know if you won. If you are a winner, then you have to email us your address, your mailing address, so we can send you the shirt. That's my gift to you for joining us today on Wednesday. All right. Gratitude. So what are you all grateful for? Last week, we got some really good insights into what people, okay, Vote got the medium. So now we have two smalls left, two small t-shirts left. What are you guys grateful for? We talked about this last week, and we should all, I mean, we have lots of stuff to be grateful for. What am I grateful for today? I'm grateful for Wendy today because she keeps us on track and organized. And I'm telling you right now, our African Ancestry lives would not be anything if it wasn't for them. I am grateful for healing. We have a member of the African Ancestry team whose daughter is healing, recovering quite well. And so I'm grateful for healing tonight. Breath. Lori is grateful for breath and for time. Hey, Norma, glad to see you. What else are you guys grateful for? I'm grateful for all of you being here. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my grandmother who's going to be 99 in December. What kind of blessing is that? Remember when Yokota came on here, and I think his grandmother it was her birthday and she was turning 106 or something like that. I hope my grandmother is with us for that long. Purpose. Yes, Lisa, that's a great one. Yokota is grateful for people who want to unify with purpose. Yes, yes, yes. Mary Smith's mother's birthday was Sunday. Happy birthday to your mother. Gratitude boosts the immune system. Yes, it does. Okay, I need to really work on that. I really need to work on that. So let's get into our next guest. Last week, we kicked off our finance month with Mbwebe and Ashangi, and he shared a lot of stuff with us about his perspective on finance, financial literacy, what we should be doing as Black folks, what we should be doing as the Black community. And tonight we have another expert in the field. Dr. Kelechi Egwim is joining us. He is joining us in his capacity, I would say, as a longtime community activist and organizer here in Washington, D.C. He wears a whole lot of hats. He's the executive director of Appeal Incorporated, a Black empowerment organization here in DC, which is, among other things, organizing to launch the country's first national Black credit union. So we're going to get into that and find out what that's all about. How do you start a credit union? Why start a credit union? Should we be participating in credit unions? Obviously, he thinks so, or Appeal wouldn't be starting one. He's a lifetime member of the African Freedom Fund, the United Black Community. He's a representative to the Leadership Council for Pan-African Nationalism. You seeing a trend here? And he's a member of the Washington, D.C. Citywide Kwanzaa Planning Committee. He has been the recipient of so many awards. I was teasing him earlier about giving him his flowers now. He's the recipient of the Umoja Award, the Ngozi Saba Award, the Abowo Bridge Builder Award, the DC Council of Elders Aluta Community Service Award, and most recently, the UNIA ACL Marcus Mosiah Garvey Outstanding Community Service Award. We don't play around here. He is a financial influencer, and he is the creator of Crypto Woke Financial Sustainability. So I want to see some Nigeria flags in the comments because he's also one of our Nigerian cousins. Welcome, Kelechi, to African Ancestry Live.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share with your audience, and thank you for having Appeal represented.
Of course, we had to have Appeal represented. I've spent many a Saturday trying to get there before 2 o'clock.
Right, to get your watermelon.
We'll talk about that later.
Yes.
But yes, welcome, Kelechi. I want to see some more Nigeria flags in the comments. You guys know what the Nigeria flag looks like? It's one strip of green, one strip of white, and then another strip of green. So I want you all to give him an African ancestry welcome. So Kelechi, community organizing. Oh, actually, you know what I wanted to say too? The last time I think you and I were on air together was when we revealed Baba Dick Gregory's African ancestry results.
Yes, I think that was on Mark Thompson's show, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, a long
yes.
time. That was in the 2000 aughts.
Yes, yes.
Is that what they call it? The aughts. So thank you for taking some time out of all of this amazing work that you're doing to share with the African ancestry community. And I also want to shout out that Kelechi's daughter, Chinwe, is part of the African ancestry team. So she is helping us. His daughter is responsible in large part for you all getting your results. So let's continue to show some love so that, it spreads on down to Chinwe.
Right, full disclaimer.
But Kelechi, community organizing, I mean, I know you do lots of other things and you have degrees and, professional accolades, but community organizing seems to be at the core of who you are. And I'm curious as to why.
Because this is the work that matters. The community has to be the center of our existence. So much of the challenges that confront us, when you really look at what's the solution to them, it comes down to community. It comes down to our ability to govern ourselves, to manage our issues and manage our needs, and so, to provide for each other and care for each other. I mean, you tend to become more vulnerable to victimization by outside forces when the community itself is not put together and operating in a way that's co-supportive. And we know that we have the history, we have the talent, we even have the roadmap in many ways, but we have to organize ourselves in order to maximize those resources. So there's plenty of opportunity for us to do that, and I find that to be one of the best uses of my time, is to help the community really to maximize its potential.
Thank you for doing that work. You just said a word that I've never heard of, and I don't know if others have either. Co-supportive.
Yeah, because I'm not sure if I coined that word, but I do use it from time to time because it's important for us to be supportive, but it can't be a one-way thing. In other words, we need to be co-supportive of each other. We have so many worthwhile efforts in our community, and sometimes we get caught in our little silo because what we're doing is so important, and it is important, but we need to be co-supportive of other people that are doing like-minded work, so that we can really maximize everybody's potential. So being co-supportive is not just doing that vital work, but being supportive and co-supportive of other people that are doing similar work.
Yeah, I'm going to start using that word too. I like that. I think that's an important word. So speaking of community organizing, I know Appeal has a national kind of outreach.
Yes.
But it is near and dear to our hearts here in DC. So can you talk to us about what Appeal is?
Yes. So APPEAL, first of all, is an acronym that stands for Association of People for Pan-Africanist Economic Advancement Through Leverage. It's a Black empowerment organization. It is a 501c3 organization. Our mission is to organize and strategically utilize the vast resources of people of African descent. We don't really believe that Africans are poor. We know that we are resource rich, we're talent rich. Our resources are not just material, but human resources. What we lack is organization. So our goal is to play a role in organizing those resources locally, globally, and nationally, obviously, to facilitate true economic empowerment and to provide economic educational enrichment where it's needed, because we need to produce strong, self-sufficient, prosperous communities. That has to be our goal. We have to be able to be self-sustaining, because the more you find yourself dependent on sometimes the people who put you in the positions that you're trying to overcome for your existence. Even though one of the many things that Appeal does is we have this black-sided co-op, which Gina is one of our favorite customers. We love to see her when she comes around.
You
You know,
should
we
get there before 2 o'clock.
yes,
Remember the Saturday and then
she
get there
tries.
at 2 o'clock.
So one thing we do is we support Black manufacturers that make things that Black people use every single day. We support them in a variety of different ways. One of those ways is to actually have their products at our store, which is the co-op, because we have to be able to make the things that we use. I mean, the basic stuff, not specialty things. I'm talking about soap, detergent, paper towels, socks, basic stuff that everybody's going to use. We have to make it. And not only do we have to make it, we have to support those of us that make it so they can keep making it. They can provide jobs in their communities and their families, and create generational wealth through us really doing what we are going to do anyway, but let it be for our benefit as opposed to the benefit of other folks who are not necessarily centering us in their mind. So it really has to be about creating sustainability and prosperity in our communities. What we already have. Now we're asking anybody else for something, but we already have, organizing it and taking control of it.
Yeah, yeah. So you talked about programs, and I know that you have 3 types of programs at Appeal, and this is one of the ways that people can participate nationally, because the programs are streamed now, right?
Right, especially with the pandemic, we've gone fully virtual. We were always a little bit virtual, but now everything's virtual. So we actually have 5 platforms.
Oh, wow.
One of them is our financial literacy educational programs and resources. We have workshops, and I'll speak a little bit more about some of the key things for financial literacy. But that's a series that we do, throughout the year. We also have a historical and cultural literacy education program, and we have a variety of speakers like Brother Tony Browder, who's one of our board members, and many others. Brother Renoka Rashid, who transitioned recently, was a regular at our workshops. As a matter of fact, we had a wonderful program. It was really heartwarming how people came together and supported his daughter. We were able to raise, I think, about $6,500 in one night for his daughter, just as a way of saying thank you for all the things that her father has given, that we will continue to be enriched with over the years. But a variety of topics, everything from repatriation to reparations, to the history that we're not taught, both the things that happen on the continent and things that happen right here in the United States. We had a brother Zek from the Whitney plantation, which is in Louisiana. It is a must. It is a must. Not a must see. A must visit. It is one of the most monumental efforts to really document the Ma'afa with us being at the center of it as opposed to being the object of it. You know, so so we were able to have him earlier this year. So we bring information, we bring that history, that culture in a very unique way that is centered around us. So that's done by our SEAC committee. That's one major platform, because it's not just the financial, the historical, and cultural, and political is key. And we also have a think tank which does analysis and addresses a variety of socioeconomic issues, to produce really solutions. Sometimes we simply are digesting information and producing it in a way that's useful. Of course, we already talked about the Black Saturday Co-op supporting Black manufacturers and goods and services. And then we have the planned launch of the Peel Federal Credit Union, which should be the very first nationally available Black credit union. Now, there are Black credit unions, or they were Black credit unions, I should say, and most of them were very much localized. Many of them were organized through churches and other religious organizations. Most of them are gone, and none of them were ever national. None of them ever made themselves available to the national audience. And that's what we're trying to do, because we know that we have pockets of poverty in our community, but we also have pockets of wealth. So the only way you're going to lift everybody in the community, you're going to have to combine those pockets, let the vulnerabilities be able to take advantage of where there is excess, and vice versa. So by making it a national effort, we believe we can pool our resources in a way to be able to facilitate all the things that we talk about, we wish for, we want so and so to do. We can actually do it ourselves if we were able to actually, and this is resources that we already have. Everybody that has an account and name a bank. I'm not going to name them, but there's a whole bunch of banks, and banks are for-profit institutions. They use your money in their coffers as leverage, right? To borrow money to do
that last week.
right, to borrow money to do what they want to do for their communities. And even though we have Black banks which do a lot better for the most part, like industrial, than a lot of the larger white banks, even the Black banks are, of course, privately owned. So where there's profit, it's not shared with the community. It goes to the owners of the bank. So while the Black banks play a very, very important role in providing access to banking for a lot of Black people nationally, the missing component is that shared benefit, is that community ownership and control. That's what we want. We want something that we can control. Where if you have $1, if you got $1 million, doesn't make a difference. As long as you're a member of the community, you can have the same level of control and say so in terms of what happens with those resources in your community. That's the whole idea. That's why we went the credit union route as opposed to a bank route. We want the community to really have ownership. But I will say a little bit more about the financial literacy, because I know that was that's a key part of this series you're doing. So it's really important that we provide reorientation and introduction about our relationship with financial systems, globally. We tend to have a love-hate relationship with money. Even those of us that are conscious in the Black community oftentimes feel as if wealth is an evil in and of itself. So because of that, we don't take advantage of the resources to generate wealth. And we're not talking about capitalism or exploitation, but we know that in order to achieve the things we need to achieve, in order to function in a society, we need to have those resources. So it's important that we understand how the financial systems of the world affect us, right? What is our relationship to them? We cannot pretend as if the stock market doesn't affect us because we don't have stock. That's just not how it works. So every time you go to the gas station and you see the price go up and down, things are happening that you're not engaged in, but guess what? It's affecting you. So, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I was looking at one of the comments from A.E. Barlow, who asks, what resources does your organization receive from the African countries who are resource rich to help the diaspora understand where we come from and reconcile their role in the transatlantic slave trade. Is that something that Appeal has focused on so far?
No, it really isn't something that we focused on. And that is a good question. The reality is we do not have representative leadership on the continent. There are very few exceptions, and they're very far between. We do not have governments that are accountable to their local people, let alone the diaspora. And I'm generalizing, but for the most part, that's the reality. We are just now beginning to see even a recognition, and we don't have the recognition in the African Union of the diaspora or what African countries owe to the diaspora. And I do want to say one thing so people don't get me confused. None of these countries existed during slavery. We have to be very, with the exception of Ethiopia, which nobody was enslaved from, as far as I know. Maybe one or two dudes, but for the most part, all the places where people were enslaved from didn't exist as they exist now. So you can't really. It is misplaced to place blame or expectation from entities that did not exist, and were either balkanized or galvanized or whatever things were done between the late 1800s and now. So these are not the same. And there was no Nigeria, at that time. There was no Ghana. There was no real connection between these governments and what happens. But that's not to say that there's no responsibility, because end of the day, they are at home and the resources are there. And a longer conversation would be the parallels between what happened to Africans who were taken and Africans that stayed, because as many folks were taken, some of the best were taken, and a few those that remained were forced to build and rebuild, even under the oppression of colonial powers. And in some ways, psychologically speaking, and I know I'm diverting completely, but
No, but it's important. It's important.
Psychologically speaking, it's much more demoralizing to be oppressed in your own land. It's much more demoralizing to be in your own native soil and still have no power. The same, types of atrocities that Africans in the diaspora saw, Africans on the continent saw the same thing. The only difference is they never got on the boat to get there. They're literally on their own land and getting their hands and feet cut off, being made to use substandard facilities. Some of the many things that we look at, during slavery and in the diaspora, and of course Jim Crow and going forward, those same things were happening on the continent. It was just it's more psychologically devastating, because it's almost it's like when you're away from home, you can always wish that home is better, but when you're home and it's happening to you, where do you wish for?
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's a long conversation, but
yeah, but I think it's important that you brought that up, and thank you for it, because, and it's not off topic, because these are the kinds of things that we learn in Appeal's historical and cultural workshops, right?
absolutely.
Your programming, your curriculum is helping us to have a much more expansive view of these things that we've been, even when we are aware, we probably have quite a narrow understanding.
They used to call them Saturday schools, right? Because we know that we're not getting the orientation, the education from the publicly available, the publicized, the government provided, and sometimes private provided institutions. We're not getting that orientation or that appreciation of our history. So we used to have these schools that were all over the country where adults, because the adults are the ones that oftentimes have the resources to go to them. So through our workshops, we hope to provide that same information, because many of us did not come to consciousness as children. Many of us come to consciousness as adults, and we want to provide that opportunity for anybody who feels as if, and that's most of us, they didn't get what they should have gotten at the age they should have gotten it. We want to build that bridge, provide those resources, because we have people in our community who have that information and are eager to share it. They live to share it because that's the key to our upliftment.
Yeah. And Zenobia is a taker. She wants to know, our appeals workshops recorded? You have some great topics that she would pay to check out, even though she lives in another state.
Oh, absolutely. Our workshops are recorded. You do have to be a member to access the recorded workshops. But of course,
Remember.
go to appealinc.org, click on join, take you all of 5 minutes. And you can join. In fact, the last series is in our archives. We tend to put the last series in the archives. So as we go throughout the year, what's in the archives will change. But the last series, which is eight workshops long, is in there. So our members have access to them. And if people ask for a particular workshop, that's not in the archives, we'll get it to them as well. Because the idea is to share it. And we do have some of these workshops on our Facebook page as well.
Okay, so Zenobia is on it. She said $50 membership fee, no problem. And I mean, if you think about it, you have a workshop every week, right?
Yep,
So
every week.
2 workshops. That if you just took advantage of the workshops, that's 52 workshops for $50.
Right. Well, so correction, it's actually 36 because we do take month breaks from time to time. Like right now, we're on a break with the workshops because we're really focusing on Founders Day, which we'll talk about later. So the workshops will pick up again on the the last Saturday in October. We'll pick up the workshops. Yeah. Right.
So now they're $1 something a piece instead of just $1.
Right, and that's just really one of the. I mean, there are many benefits, to appeal. Obviously, that's one of them. So above the orientation, we know that there is also a need for basic information, right? We know that so much of ignorance about finances is fostered in our community for purposeful reasons, and because of poverty, because of lack of education or low levels of education, and all the other things that are in our community that cause us to not necessarily have gotten that information. A lot of our people are unbanked, never had an account, never, they are they are prey for all your, quick cash and tax deal, and all the folks that come in the community. Sometimes it's the only businesses is there. You got that in a liquor store, and they count on you not knowing that you can actually get an account and not have to pay anybody to deposit your check and not have to get a cut. You can get direct deposit for free because you have an account. So just they take advantage of the ignorance that oftentimes we have in our community. So we want to take care of those basics, and we do. We talk about banking. We talk about budgeting, which is really critical because even as adults, we need to continue to learn that it's not always about making more, right? And this is something that I try to teach my children. Sometimes, it's just saving money is like giving yourself a pay raise. Understand that, that you need to live within really below your means so you can save, because savings is important because things happen. And also, you build up savings, you can begin to invest and let your money work for you. These financial tools are available, and instruments are available in society. So the ones that are beneficial to us, the use of LLCs for folks who are a little more, into, businesses and other things, use of trust, use of insurance, as a financial tool. Folks don't think of insurance that way. You can actually create your own personal bank using insurance, which is things that the wealthy, quote unquote wealthy, mostly whites do. That's how they pass on generational wealth, and we don't have that information. So we want to bring that to our people. Tax strategies, retirement planning, generational wealth, and estate planning. That's how we lose most of the wealth in our community. Is that, and I know so many stories. Sometimes it makes you want to cry when you think about Even in my, my extended family, brothers and sisters who, you know, through times I couldn't even imagine, managed to build real estate, buy property, buy land, only before their bodies can be cold, their children just sell it off. And within 10 years, they're back trying to figure out where they can get some money. So those types of losses are not necessary. Those are self-inflicted wounds that, I think that, by really taking advantage of the resources, and we have people in our community. I'm going to do a name drop, Sister Amy Griffin. I'm not sure if you've had her on here before. She's really an expert when it comes to estate planning. We need to have wills. I know we don't want to die. I know, no one's talking about it, right?
But it's
But
gonna happen.
right, but writing a will, I guarantee you, writing a will will not make you die faster. And you don't have to be rich to have a will, right? You don't have to have a business, whatever it is you have. If there's anything that you have that you would want your child, your children, your grandchildren, I don't care if it's your favorite ballpoint pen, right? If you're an adult and you have income coming in, you need to have a will. I mean, I don't care how old you are. So these are things that we have to get over. I know I've had conversations with people who are in their 70s, and I can't convince them to get a will. It's like they just don't want to talk about it. Like, as if they were to go into that office, or even to do the online thing, if they were, that savvy to do so, that some all of a sudden they would just, be gone tomorrow. No, that's not how it works. But we all go, so we have to plan for it. So it's really trying to get us out of, the bad habits that we may have picked up, and also we want to build trust. One of the most important things that we do through our financial literacy workshops is we provide information about creating trust building institutions, right? One of them is Susu, which is an ancient African savings system, right? Which basically is about a group of people. It's not it's not an investment, right? But what it is that it's a way for people to build trust among either families or groups of families or individuals, where they simply, pool their money together, whatever schedule they have, and somebody gets a payout, whatever schedule they have. And you'll be surprised to know that, especially here in DC, so many of the Black-owned businesses that are owned by immigrants, especially Ethiopians, Eritreans, have been started with the use of this one tool. It's not a trick. There's not some secret bank. It's the people of the bank, right? Teaching people to organize themselves and trust Black people with your money. That's something we gotta get over. Trust Black people with your money. If we don't do that, then then what's the point, right? We have to build trust among each other, and these are trust building institutions, because if you don't trust folks you're working with, you're not going to build much with them, right? So that's all part of it as well.
And that goes to the heart of that word that you created, co-supportive. You can't have any co-supportive anything without trust.
Yep. And that's not, unfortunately, I know Black people who won't go to Black doctors, Black dentists, and there's a whole bunch of other. We know we have that psychological damage we have to overcome, but this one this is an easy one. We need to begin to build trust in our families, in our communities, and everybody's not perfect. I get that, but it is imperative to our future that we build trust among each other when it comes to finances. And we also do a lot of work with entrepreneurs. Really, we bring successful entrepreneurs and sometimes unsuccessful entrepreneurs, and I put that in quotes, in the sense that entrepreneurship isn't always about how we measure success. It's about the passion. It's not always about the money. If you're going into if you're starting a business because you want to get rich, probably not a good idea. Because that's the wrong reason to become an entrepreneur. So having the proper orientation, developing the proper skills, expectations, the do's and don'ts, again, tax strategy, And more importantly, something that we lack so much with uh, our businesses in our community, our entrepreneurs, is planning for retirement. There has to be a plan for retirement when you're self-employed. Folks who have jobs may have, different things that are available to them. You have to have that plan. So, these are all things that we hope to present and expose our people to, so that we can be beneficial, right? We can be beneficial to the community, and we can beneficial to each other by being able to have even anything to transfer to the next generation. I have this little trick. I'm just going to drop it. So I personally believe that you don't leave your children in your will. I think that we should be looking at a generation ahead. I think that for the most part, and this is a generalization, but for most people, while they're alive, their children will benefit from whatever it is they have. But it's important that we put something aside so that the next generation, a generation ahead, has a leg up. Because oftentimes, because what we're doing isn't really working, because the next generation, the children, they're grown, they got their own problems and challenges, but they benefited from your life experience, and you pay for their school, or you may have even helped them get their house or whatever it is. They may first car, those type of things that you're not going to be able to do for your grandchildren or great grandchildren. But leaving it to the children, by the time you're gone, that money's gone quick, because they didn't earn it. And they didn't have the foresight to really make sure that that their children and their grandchildren will benefit from it. So really skipping a generation in terms of generational wealth and transference is something I recommend. And I know it's a challenge for folks, but that's just something I think it would be a good thing going forward for us.
We have a couple of things. Our Cafe Cubano Keys, who has my favorite Facebook name, he says a living trust is a better option to a will. Do you agree with that?
Yes. Well, there are different tools. It depends on your. It's essentially the same thing, but it's not either or. You can have a living trust, and I suggest you should have a living trust, a revocable trust, irrevocable trust, depending on what your financial situation is. But a will is just simply, your directive, what you want to happen. A will is not a public document. It's something that either you or a family member or a lawyer will keep, whatever that comes out, when you pass. It's not either or. You need to have a plan as to what you want to happen, and that includes even your health directive, right? It's not either or. We need to have all these tools wherever possible, and depending on your situation, you may need to have multiple.
And if you join Appeal, you can learn about all of this stuff as part of the community. So
Yep.
Make sure you guys go to appealinc.org and join tonight. Now, do you have programming for young people? Oh, wait.
Yes.
Before I ask that question, hold on. Yakota has had a question for a very long time, which is, what is the target date for the opening of the credit union?
Yes. So that's a good question. One that I don't have a direct answer to, because it really depends on us, right? My target date doesn't matter. We depend on the community to contribute and support. So the sooner we have the resources, the sooner we can open. That's what it boils down to.
Open a credit union, like
Right.
in terms of resources. What's the minimum amount of money that an organization would need to start a credit union?
Right. Well, for what we're trying to do, and it varies. It varies.
Okay.
There are some organizations. I know that there's credit union efforts in various communities. I know some that are looking to get 500,000, 400,000. But for us, we actually have a $300,000 goal in terms of that includes advanced deposits, includes startup costs, includes money to operate for a certain period of time. Those resources we'll need at the very beginning, and of course, deposits from our members. So the fundraising effort that we're in right now is to get to that, and we're actually close to about halfway. So we've made quite a bit of progress, especially in the last 3 to 4 years. in terms of that. But the sooner we get to our goal in terms of that 300,000, the sooner we can complete the charter. We are in the process of chartering. We have an application. There's a proposed credit union name, or at the NCUA, which is the agency that issues credit unions. We have a file. They're just waiting for us to come up with the cash to show that we're sustainable, because our membership and activity is one thing, but if you don't have the capital, they're not giving you that charter. And we don't want to open up a credit union that doesn't have a charter, because we won't be able to insure deposits, and it's very important to insure deposits for our members.
And so the upcoming Founders Day celebration is a fundraiser, correct?
Absolutely. That is a fundraiser specifically for the startup costs for the credit union, and it's a party with a purpose, right? It's not a lecture. It's a show, and we have some really dynamic performers. Sister Anna Amolego, she is originally from Kenya. She is a singer, an actress, but she's hilarious. She's a comedian. As a matter of fact, some of you, if you're from the DC area, you may. She did a national tour, but she had a one-woman show at the AFI Theater that was entitled "I Didn't Know I Was Black Till I Came to America." I think that was the title of it. But she is hilarious. So she's going to be performing, and then we have Sister Aquia Ulrich, Nina Simone reincarnated. You do not want to miss her. We've got the Holly Girls, and the Holly Girls. They've been on a lot of. They're a younger generation than myself, but they're very popular. They've been on a lot of HBO shows and different shows. You'll see them in different programs from time to time. So they're really popular. They're based out in Los Angeles. We have Brother Reginald Sinchi, who was a member of Black Notes, and Black Notes is the group that was founded by the founder of Appeal, Baba Lasana. So we're really glad to have him and his new quartet, in the mix. And we have Sister Tamika Love Jones, and this is interesting because we have folks from all over. Like Tamika's in Florida. You got folks in LA, some folks from New York. Brother Bomani, he was also known as under the pseudonym Not a Rapper. He has a lot of hits that have gone viral, including Read a Book. He's very much oriented on trying to make sure our children are not getting caught up in a way that's detrimental to them. So a lot of his music is very much positive. He is a rapper, actually, but he's much more than that. He's a producer, he's a musician, and his boys, who are also great percussionists as well. So, we have quite a bit of entertainment. We also do.
Get it in. I think if nothing else comes out of this live tonight, it is to encourage you guys to go on over and register for the fundraiser on Sunday, because that sounds like it's going to be off the chain. Hey, Kelechi, there's one thing I want to make sure we touch on before we roll out of here, and my memory, I got to ask you now. So okay. You were born in Nigeria, right?
Yes.
And you have been a supporter, you and your family have been supporters of African Ancestry from almost day one, when Nia took the test, your wife Nia took the test, and we appreciate that ongoing support. And now it's generational now that we have Chinwe. But what is your perspective on, first of all, tell us what your ethnic groups are, and then what is your perspective on Black folks in the diaspora wanting to reconnect to Africa through their DNA? Yes.
Yes. So yes, we were actually on, I think, Good Morning America with when Chinwe was, I think she was probably like 2 or something. I don't know. She was little, maybe not 2, but little. So yes, it was a birthday present, I believe. for Nia, we did her both her maternal and paternal side from her mother, and her maternal and paternal side from her father. So really all the information we could get. And I know the ancestry on her father's side, father's paternal side was Bantu, Igbo, and then the father's mother's side was Timbamineke in Cameroon, and then her mother's paternal side was actually Igbo. And then her mother's maternal side was also somewhere else in Cameroon. I'm Igbo. I'm Igbo on both sides. So it was great to know that we shared some distant ancestry, and that she was really an Igbo sister coming back home, because she was already Igbo when she married into Igbo family, but now she has legit status with it. It really is it's a gift. I mean, the second I heard about African ancestry, and this, obviously before I knew Gina or anybody associated with it, I got really excited. My background, I don't think we mentioned this because it would take forever. My background is chemical engineering. I have a PhD in chemical engineering. I understand the science of DNA and genetics, and to see this, this tool really being targeted towards providing this very vital information is really critical, not just for the Africans in the diaspora, but for Africans on the continent as well. Growing up, I mean, I was here and back and forth between here and Nigeria a lot when I was little, and one thing that struck me was how many Africans on the continent don't believe that their ancestors were taken into slavery. And I'm talking about some of the groups, the largest groups that were taken into slavery, including Igbos. I would get into arguments with people. So the level of ignorance on the other side is almost worse, right? So this is irrefutable information. This is documented. I mentioned the Whitney plantation in near New Orleans in Louisiana. They actually one of the places where you can see the exact ship manifest, which actually shows the ethnicity of the people, and sometimes their African names. And of course, many of them were Igbo and Yoruba and so forth. But having this information at that time for me was just like, whoa, this is something that can demonstrate what so many of us have, because of pain, because of trauma, have really tried to deny. And I'm glad to see, the wealth of support that African ancestry has gotten over the years, because this is critical information. We must connect the diaspora to the continent for the benefit of the diaspora. What I mean by that is that the African continent is set on a certain trajectory, and I'm not really fazed by the things that we see now, because I know that the trajectory of population growth and industry building technology is going to have the continent really dominating the world in about 100 years. In about 50 years, actually 40, newest projection is 30 years, Nigeria alone, that's one country, is going to have a greater population than the United States. So you're not just seeing economic decline in the West, but you're seeing economic growth, development, population, changes, demographic changes. We look at African countries. I mentioned how the leadership is lacking now, but you have to realize that Ghana is the oldest of these entities that exist. You're talking about just a little over 60 years. Nigeria is just 60 years old. These are babies. The people who were there when it was founded are still ruling the countries. So they haven't had any chance to grow, right? So in short time, you're going to see that next generation that's been waiting in the wings to take over and do what needs to be done have their chance. So uh, Africa is going to be the center of the world again. So when I say to the benefit of the diaspora, if the diaspora wants to be part of that, it must engage now. And African ancestry and the ancestry test is a tool to do that. Because the people on the continent may not want you to take advantage or be able to take advantage of what's there, but they can't deny it to you when the science, it demonstrates that it belongs to you. So it's an important tool, for our whole benefit, because I think that the continent benefits from what the diaspora brings, in terms of resources, in terms of intellect, in terms of perspective, in terms of being able to have a global perspective. You appreciate your African self much more than the person who is on the continent. It's a point that probably is a whole show in and of itself. But the truth is that being an African born on the continent makes you being an African to you the least important thing in your life, because everybody's African. Me being black in Nigeria is not even a thing, because everybody's black. That's the least important thing in my life. That's the least impactful thing in my life on the continent, because everybody, especially in countries like Nigeria and in interior, everybody's pretty much the same ethnicity in some cases, and definitely the same race. So the impact of being African does not mean the same as what we think it would mean when we're in the diaspora looking. So that sharing that global perspective is critical. And only people in the diaspora can share that perspective, because on the continent we don't have that perspective. And and there's a reason for that, but still, it robs us of having a global perspective and appreciation of our position in the world, and that's what the diaspora brings.
Woo, woo, woo. So as we roll out, Kelechi, we play Fact or Wack every week.
Okay.
So we have some statements, and the audience has to decide whether the statement is a fact or if it's a whack ass statement. So will you play with us?
I'm with it.
Okay, so Wendy's gonna put up the statement, you read it, and then you guys get ready with your fact or whack. We'll see how you do. So far, everybody's been doing a really good job, so let's keep it going.
The first documented enslaved Africans were brought to America in 1619.
Is that a fact, you all, or is that whack? Let's see in the comments what you think. Were the first documented enslaved Africans brought to America in 1619? We got one whack, one fact. What the rest of you all think? Fact or whack? Fact or whack? Okay, they're coming in. More people are thinking that it's a fact than are thinking it's whack. So what is it, Kelechi? Is it fact or okay? It's evening out. It's evening out. Is it fact or is it whack?
It is whack. And it's not even like it's not. We know that, of course, we had a 1619 campaign, and that's really about the British, the first successful British colony that had enslaved people. But that wasn't even the first British colony. It's just that the others were destroyed by the people that enslaved. The Africans and the Native people destroyed those colonies, the ones that were in South Carolina, and the ones in Florida. St. Augustine is still there. The town is still there. So we know that the first Africans were brought to Europe in the early 1400s, but were brought to Santo Domingo as early as 1502. And we in fact, there's a very, very famous revolt of Africans in what is now the Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Hispaniola. That was in 1525. So you can't have an African revolt in the Caribbean in 1525 if they didn't get here till 1619. So I mean, have folks check out St. Augustine. This is a great book. There were actually many settlements of Europeans that brought Africans to America. If you go to way before 1690, if you go to even Elmina, I always thought it was very interesting. Elmina dungeon tells you about the first enslaved people that were taken from there to the continent and in Ghana, and it was in the 1400s, right? So what happened in the 100 something years, right? If you go to Goree Island, they document, so it is very well documented. So the next one, yes, so very whack, and there's lots of books that speak to that subject. Okay, so this is a great one. In 1311, Mansa Abubakar II sailed across the Atlantic to America with a fleet of 2,000 vessels.
Okay.
I'll say from Mali. I'm gonna add that, from Mali, Kingdom of Mali.
Okay.
Fact or what?
In 1311, Mansa Abubakar II sailed from Mali across the Atlantic to the Americas with a fleet of 2,000 vessels. Fact or whack? Okay, it's evening out. Hey, Mary Payton, glad you're here. Okay, we got an even amount. It looks like a facts and whacks. So is this fact or is this whack?
This is fact. This is
you got it.
And this is one of those things that you're not supposed to know. And this, in other words, as documented as it is documented in Cairo. It is documented in the Americas, actually. It's documented in various parts of the world, including, of course, in the Kingdom of Mali and in Saudi Arabia, well, Mecca. But because we're supposed to believe that Africans didn't have ships, and Columbus was the first one to get here. We know Columbus didn't actually ever step foot in America, but that's a whole other thing.
Let's go to the next one.
Yeah, but I want to recommend Ivan Van Sertima's book that came before Columbus. That he does a great job, and Renoka Rashidi does a great job with that as well. But let's move on. The first human inhabitants of North and South America were from Asia. Fact or whack?
Okay, Della was ready. She said whack. What else? Anybody else? Is this fact or whack? The first human inhabitants of North and South America were from Asia. Okay, we got a lot of whacks. Let's see. What is it? Fact or whack?
It's definitely whack. Again, I'm going to reference a lot of the same books, right? Because the historians that did this work, like Dr. Ivan Van Sertima and Brother Renoko, he was really an expert on the Olmecs, and the Olmecs were an African civilization. Their helmets were Egyptian, Kemetic helmets, right? These are African people. They want to say that they didn't have the tools to carve their noses right. That's why they look African, because they had primitive tools. The eyelashes are on point, but they couldn't get the noses right. All types of crazy excuses to demonstrate why these African heads are all over, South America. Of course, we know about the recent finding of Lucia, which is an African fossil, and is the oldest human fossil in the Americas, way before the Bering Straits of the Asian crossing. So we know that Africans were here before anybody else, and that's even in addition to the various. We mentioned one of them by Mansa Musa, but the various journeys by Africans who actually sailed to the Americas, because there was a lot of trade between Africans on the continent and the population that was here in the Americas.
So this started off as a show about finance and gratitude, and we've gotten a whole bunch of different
extra
tonight, and I love it, and I'm glad, because we are multi-dimensional people, and You could be a PhD in chemical engineering and start a credit union and know about Mansa Abu Bakr II.
And
We have no limits as that.
and his brother, this is a little factor. His brother is Mansa Musa, who was the richest human being to ever live. As a
Yes,
matter of fact,
to the finance.
when he went to the Hajj in Mecca, he caused the economy of Asia and Europe to plummet because he brought so much gold from just from his vast gold mine. So he was just passing out gold in the streets of people. That's how rich he was. So so check out
Mary
that
Smith,
history.
that's right. Mary Smith said it. She said Africans started everything and went everywhere. We're that bad. That's
Yeah,
right,
bro.
Mary. Kelechi, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Everybody, please go to appealinc.org. You got options. You can attend the fundraiser and get your party on. And you can get a membership and get all of this educational knowledge out of their 36 weeks in a year of historical and political and financial and cultural education for just $50. I don't know why we
Absolutely.
couldn't do that.
And
So
I put in a link to get the tickets for the Founders Day program. We have
okay,
we have the advanced ticket prices and on Monday, so you want to get it before the prices go up. The link is in the chat.
so there you go. So you guys, please support appealinc.org. They are for us, by us, and you got all the information you need right here. And this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah,
I
bro.
want to thank you all for being here tonight with us. We are still fighting a pandemic. Next week, lest I forget, next week, you guys remember we tried to talk to Edna a couple weeks ago, but she was having technical difficulties from Cuba. Now she's back home in Colombia, and so she's going to be with us next week to talk about Afro-Latinos rebuilding their African connections. She is a member of the African Ancestry family, so it'll be exciting for her to share her results. So please be with us next week. And as you go through these next 7 days, please continue to wear your mask. Please continue to keep your distance from folks. Please continue to support your immune system. And please continue to support your own mental health and that of those who you love and care about. Until we meet again next week, may you be happy, may you be healthy, and may you be whole. Kelechi, thanks again for being here with us. Let's not make it another 10, 12 years.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for having me. And I'm always I'm usually in the audience, so
Nice.
I'm
I see
accessible.
your name in there. You guys have a very good night. And don't forget to email us your name and address if you are a swag winner. Okay. Email us to info@africanancestry.com. Bye, Nia. See you next time, everybody. Good night.
All right, peace.